Apex traffic, experimental 139 or Kilo Foxtrot, ready to take the active runway 17 for straight out southbound departure Apex.
The tail will stay down, and I stick my stick forward and push the tail up onto the forward, and then the plane comes up like this. We have a little bit more time on the runway, and then we're gone. So, feet on the floor, Jeremy. Oil pressure's good, engine's running fine. Now the stick goes forward a bit. Spend some time here. And we're going to space some time close to the ground. Get some speed. And then off we go.
Amazing. Long time.
Has it been a while?
Been a while.
Yeah. Well, everything seems to be working right. Sounding right. So when I get to about 1,000 feet, which is to say about 500 feet above the runway or above the trees here, then I can turn in towards Silverdale. And I put in a little bit of left rudder pedal as the stick comes over, trying to keep that ball. Yeah, I mean, it's okay if it goes a little bit out of the deal, but the object of the exercise is to have that ball so that the tail of the airplane is following the nose during the turn. And later I'll show you a turn without it. And so we're climbing at a speed that's about 75 miles per hour. This airplane just measures everything in miles per hour. While you're climbing, if I didn't have my feet on the rudder pedals, you see how the ball's gone out there? Go ahead and step on it a little bit until it comes back. There you go. So while you're climbing, you're mostly just using right rudder. A little bit more.
About 3 miles north.
There you go. So you'd have
southbound at 1,500. I'm going to cross over the river at the bridge here and maintain southbound. You guys are close to the airport.
So you have to hold it while you're climbing. A little bit of right rudder is part of it.
Traffic, Sherman 3, 1 Sierra Delta, 10 miles forward, 10 down for landing.
Okay, I've got the rudder pedals. So here's what we do for controls. It's important that I pretend that I'm a flight instructor, and you know, I'll show you a lot of things. Now, I'm not a flight instructor, so whatever I'm showing you right now is all just informational. It's not a lesson or anything, but it's a lesson. So the most important thing to figure out is who's flying the airplane. Is it you or is it me? And so we do this thing called positive exchange of flight controls. And I'll say something like this. I'll say, you have the flight controls. And you'll say back to me, I have the flight controls. And I'll confirm it back one more time. You have the flight controls.
So I say, you have flight controls.
Right, so I'll say to you, and go ahead and put your right hand on the stick. Okay, and I'll say to you, you have the flight controls. And you say, I got the flight controls.
I have the flight controls.
And then I read it back one more time. You have the flight controls. So
you
now,
have the flight.
So that's it. So now you've got them. So I have them, right? And so here's the deal. Push the nose forward a bit because we're slowing down. Okay, there you go. And try to get us not to turn. And the way that we're not turning is obviously just aileron. So turn us towards the aircraft carriers. So to turn us towards the aircraft carriers is to roll the airplane over into a roll. Stop it from rolling anymore, and just keep it in a roll. Just keep it rolled over a certain amount. And you note that this ball is a little bit out, so you would step just a hair on the right rudder pedal just to keep that turn coordinated. And when you're pointing in the direction that you want to finish turning at, you just roll it back to straight and level. Mostly, everything that you want to do is outside the airplane. The visual is, have I got about half of blue sky and half of ground in my windshield? Is there a fist? Is there some equal distance between the ground and the wingtip and the ground and the wingtip over here? And if so, is the nose moving across the horizon? Does it look like my nose is pointing at one thing and then 2 minutes later is my nose pointing at something else? And if so, then I'm in a turn. If not, then I'm not turning. So you have the flight controls. You read it back to me. I got the flight controls. I got the flight controls. You have them. So now you're flying the airplane. So experiment trying to keep the wings level. Try not to climb. And I'm going to go and listen to Bremerton for a second. So I'm going to just swap over to Bremerton's frequency just so that I can pay attention to them. So, you're doing a fine job. Now, our engine RPMs are at 5,500, and I'm going to bring it down just a hair. And that might change the way the stick... If you were to let go of the stick, what would happen right now? Go ahead, let go. It's more or less trimmed. It doesn't want to climb. It doesn't want to... So it's trimmed. This is the trim button. If you have to push the stick forward to keep it where you want it, then you push the trim forward. If you have to pull the stick back to keep it where you want it, then you pull the trim back. This is my push-to-talk switch for the radio. It doesn't transmit yours. I took the flight controls without telling you, and so I apologize. And so I shouldn't be over the carriers. Well, I'm at 2,900 feet. I'm above. So the aircraft carriers, the Navy base, request that aircraft stay above 2,900 feet. And I rarely, if ever, go over the base because I just don't want to mess with them, right? But I'm above 2,900. I'm at 3,040 feet right now. So we're good to go. I don't hear anybody transmitting on Bremerton's frequency. My L gauge is intermittent, and that's interesting, and always been known to do that. This temperature is at 1,000 or 1,360. This one's at 1,260. It's 100 degrees temperature difference, and ideally they would be the same. So we'll go out over the Port Orchard Airport, which is right out in front of us, about 4 miles, and we'll practice some turns and some other things. We'll show you what's happening with that. But it's a nice evening for flying. It's nice and calm. It's hot, but it's not too bad. I'll get us a little bit of breeze back, and you can just pivot it out. Yeah, and then you can rotate it to regulate the amount of breeze that you want to get in. Yes, it's okay. Feel free to follow along. And this is showing me that I've got traffic around me. That's a 2-mile ring and a 4-mile ring. So basically, within 2 miles of me, I don't have anybody. Well, at least anybody that's transmitting a proper transmit code.
5765 Whiskey is taking off runway 2, standing by.
Aircraft transmitting on Bremerton, frequency broken and unreadable. So there's Boeing Field and SeaTac are right there. SeaTac is the big, you can see it there, right?
Grayish.
Yeah, the open space. Boeing Field's behind it. A lot of aircraft go from Boeing Field to Bremerton to practice. And Tacoma Narrows is right out in front of us out there about 5, 6, 7 miles. You can see the bridge if you look for it. And the airport is to the right of it. Okay. And the Port Orchard Airport should be at your 1 o'clock down low. And so if we're at 3,500, we are heading slightly. There's some preferred cruising altitudes when you get above 3,000 feet. And if you're a visual flight rules airplane, which is us, and you're somewhere between south and north on the east side of south and north, then you have to be at 3,500, which is where we're at coming up in any second. So we are at the preferred cruising altitude for our type of aircraft, heading in the direction that we've chosen to head in. If we were going Westbound, we would be at 4,500. We're going eastbound, we're at 3,500. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, we've got an emergency landing spot near us. We can afford to screw around and play a few games here and you know, teach you a little bit about the performance of the airplane. So first things first, we've got to make sure there's nobody else out here. See that guy out there? Yes. At 2 o'clock moving to 3 o'clock, he's coming from Tacoma Narrows to Bremerton most likely. So we do what's called a clearing turn. We look for somebody like him.
Whiskey is turning right, crosswind, runway 2, Bremerton.
We make sure that there's we want to make sure that there's nobody else out around us, behind us. That's a helicopter.
Bremerton traffic, experiment 139er Kilo, Foxtrot, radio check.
Kilo Foxtrot coming in.
Thank you very much.
Bremerton traffic, Cherokee 7625 Whiskey, turn right down 1, runway 2, Bremerton.
Bremerton traffic, experiment 139er Kilo, Foxtrot is 3.5 miles to the east over Port Orchard, level 3,500 maneuvers.
So that just essentially tells people, okay, here's where I am and here's what I'm doing. So we have an airport under us now. We've cleared the traffic area. We know that there's not much traffic and we've talked to the traffic. So let's first do this. We're going to line it up with Mount Rainier. And then we're going to put it into a right-hand turn, and you just follow along with the flight controls. So as I put it into a turn, I also push a little bit of rudder pedal. Because some of the lift that's keeping the plane up is now used for turning it, the plane, if you didn't do anything, would start to come down. But put in a little bit of right rudder pedal, and not much more than that. I'd roll it over, and then I'd bring it back to neutral. So I sort of keep it in this angle of bank. You can sort of see it's about a 30-degree angle of bank. It's not much more. I just keep it at that angle. I'm climbing, so I should allow the stick forward a little bit. And if I did this right, and I kept a standard rate turn, if this little needle more or less averaging out on that white mark, 2 minutes later, I would be pointing back at Mount Rainier. So a standard rate turn is 360 degrees in 2 minutes. And that means that if you're a VFR pilot and you fly into a cloud by mistake, the way you get out of it is to put yourself into a standard rate turn for 1 minute inside the cloud and then level out, and that should fly you right back out of the cloud that you just flew into by mistake. So you can see that I'm using a little bit of aileron to keep us from rolling over more than I want, and I just want to keep the rudder pedal stabilized. Now, I climbed a lot there, so I don't know why I did that. I was obviously pulling back on the stick. As you get close to Rainier again, you roll it out. Now we'll go right into a left-hand turn, and I'm going to lose some of that altitude. So I'm going to pull the power off just a hair. I'm going to let the stick forward. Now we're going reasonably fast for the airplane. I'm going to get us back down to the 3,500 feet that I wanted us to be at.
So you said you're going fast.
Yeah, and that's why we're getting bumped around, and well, we're going down too. And that's why we're getting bumped around a little bit. So as I get to my 3,500 feet, I just pull the stick back just a hair and level out at the 3,500. I'm still in the same angle of bank. I'm a little steeper than I was before, but I'm coming up on Rainier. And when I'm about 5 degrees from pointing at Rainier, I just roll it out, and I actually step on the opposite rudder a bit, just to. So here we are at 3,500. All right, so you have the flight controls.
I have the flight control.
Okay, you have the flight controls. So if it wants to climb, push it forward just a hair. That's the visual picture you're looking for. It's sort of half of the blue sky, some land, if you're, and then you can just glance over at the altimeter and see what's happening. If it's at 36, then you're climbing, so push the stick forward. And gently.
So am I using any rudder pedal or just?
Yeah, absolutely. Just keep it, just dance your toes on the rudders just a little bit, just so you get a sense of what happens when you do that. The rudder pedal, I'm going to take the flight controls. I got the flight controls. Okay, you have the flight. Okay, so here's what happens. If I hold the stick fixed and I push the right rudder, watch the nose, it'll slide sideways. If I push the left rudder, it slides sideways that way. So the rudder pedal controls yaw. The ailerons out on the wings control roll, and the stick coming back controls pitch, nose up, nose down. Okay? So you use it, I'm going to get out of the runway space that possibly Tacoma might be needing. In other words, I'm going to head back towards my safe landing spot at Port Orchard. But it's always a coordination thing. It's always a balance between, have you got enough stick in? The instruments are useful, but the real way that people fly airplanes, visual flight rules of course, is out the window. What you see out the window, here's where we are when we're straight in. This is what it looks like. We're not really climbing, we're not turning. I'm still pointing at the same mountain peak I was pointing at 3 seconds ago, 15 seconds ago. So I'm straight and level. You have the flight controls. Okay, just try and keep it straight and level. And if the and one hand only, because you gotta just learn to do it with one hand. You're gonna need your left hand for the throttle. You might as well rest your hand on that throttle. Okay. So see the Sisters, the main peak up there on the mountain ridge? Yes. Point the nose at the Sisters if you can. So not so much climb the nose as just roll the wing over a little bit and let the airplane turn just a hair. And if you keep it rolled over, it's going to keep pointing. I think we're pointing at it about now.
Okay, I was looking at the wrong.
That's all right. All right. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so we'll call that. And our airport underneath us is good. Engine RPMs are good, oil pressure's good, oil temperature's fine, water temperature's fine, exhaust gas temperatures are acceptable.
Okay, so it's as stable as possible.
Okay, so small motions. So
here's really get comfortable and
let me have the flight controls back for a second. I got the flight controls. Okay, so here's how much you put your hand on the stick. And imagine you've got an egg in your hand, and you really just want to be really gentle with that stick. Okay? So here's how much motion I'm doing to control it right now. That's exactly how much is happening.
Not much.
Not much. Try that now. You have the flight controls. I have the flight controls. Tiny little motions earlier are a whole bunch better than big motions later, you know? It starts to go down a bit, just a tiny little bit, just a tiny bit. Pull it back up just a bit. There you go. Awesome. Look around, relax. Just look around for other traffic, and then go back to what you were flying at. So you can see that the nose is rolling a bit, is moving, so yeah. No, it's fine. That's fine. So you compensated, you headed it back. So 90% of your time flying is looking out the window, making sure that you can see the airplane that's going to try and kill you. All right, so now try and put us into a left-hand turn. So we'll look over there to be sure there's no airplanes first. Now just roll it a bit to the left.
Okay, roll with the stick and the rudder?
Yeah, you just roll the stick over a little bit, and then stop it from going any more, but keep it. So you see now you don't want to push the stick over anymore, you just want to keep it neutral now. But the airplane, because it's in a roll, it'll keep turning.
It'll do it, so.
It'll just, yeah, I'm just going to compensate for you a bit. So just a little more of what's called aileron. That's enough. And then you just keep it neutral there and pull the nose up a hair so that the nose doesn't drop, and we're slowly turning, right? And if we level out, we won't turn anymore. And since I want us to turn, we're going to just keep the wings in a roll. And if it goes steeper, you don't want that, so you would bring the aileron back a little bit. And there's a difference is some aileron, no aileron. Yeah, all right, so roll out on Rainier. Level us out. There you go, perfect. There you go, nice and gentle. Okay, now take a look over there to make sure there's no other traffic, and then turn us to the right. Clear to the right. Clear to the right, over you go. So a little bit of right rudder. Just a touch. There you go, and you're in it. And because some of the lift is being used to turn us, you have to pull the stick back just a bit. Keep the nose up. It slows the airplane down a bit. And look to where the danger is going to be, which is where you're heading. Keep it rolled over. And roll this out when you see the sisters. That's the 3 peaks that we were pointing at before. Cool. Alright. Okay, so you within 20 feet of where you started. Altitude. So all good. I have the flight controls, take a break. Okay, so now we can go into a steeper turn. So I'm going to look out to the right to make sure nobody's in. This bar is going to be more or less parallel with the horizon. So that's a steeper turn than we were in before. Hear the engine struggling a bit, and that's because I was climbing the airplane and I shouldn't have been. So I'm going to let the nose go down just a hair. So a quick glance at my altimeter shows me I'm moving down a bit, and I'm going to roll us out on Rainier, and I'm going to go right into an opposite turn. Left rudder pedal, over she goes with left rudder. You can follow along, Tom. So now I'm diving pretty heavily, so I'll just make sure that I don't go any further down than that. And when we've got sisters, which I managed to overfly, so I lost 140 feet. So I can gain that back 2 ways. I could add more power. More power would mean more lift, and ultimately the plane would climb to 3,500. I'm going fast enough that if I just pull the stick back, I slow down a lot, but I get that altitude back and more. All right? Let me know if you're feeling any thickness or any. Good. Okay? So,
you don't
monitoring.
have to use.
Go ahead.
And you can pull back, and then
I can't hear you, so make sure that this comes right up to your lips. Yeah.
okay. So when you want to climb, you don't necessarily have to.
As long as you've got enough speed,
Okay.
you can pull the stick back. This white line tells me that I stall, I fall out of the sky when my speed gets there. So I can afford to go slowly and climb reasonably. And I'm having to pull the stick back to do that. You hang on to it. You have it for a second. You see how you have to pull it back to keep it going that way?
Yeah.
We don't want the speed to deteriorate much more than that. If I was really doing this properly, I would add as much power as I've got to continue into the climb. So let's now go back to level.
You have the flight controls?
I got the flight controls, thank you. And then we'll get out of Bremerton Airport's way so that we're not screwing up anybody that's messing around with them. And I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to listen to Bremerton weather.
Roll.
0224 Zulu weather. Wind 010 at 8. Visibility more than
Wind out of the north at 8 miles an hour.
Clear below 12,000. Temperature 26 Celsius. 2.14 Celsius. Altimeter 3009er. Remarks. Density altitude 1,600.
Okay, so we'll listen to a full traffic
Bremerton National
weather report.
Airport. Automated weather observation 0225 Zulu weather. Wind 010 at 8. Visibility more than 10. Sky condition clear below 12,000. Temperature 26 Celsius. 2.14 Celsius. Altimeter 3009er. Remarks. Density altitude 1,600.
So there's a guy in the traffic pattern down below us.
All that.
Did you see him?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Did I tell you what?
Yes, yes, please. Okay. And,
7625 Whiskey, turn right, crosswind, runway 2, Bremerton.
and so you could do it by, this is 12 o'clock, this is 9 o'clock, 6, 3. So you could say aircraft 10 o'clock low, you know, or 10 o'clock means he's on the same level, and that one concerns me. 10 o'clock high, I don't care. 5 miles out, 10 miles out, I don't care. If you see a jet, no big deal. But if you see somebody like that, 10 o'clock low, moving to 9 o'clock is a nice way to describe it. And okay, I know what's happening with it. So we're going to take a look out there to make sure there's nobody there. And then we're going to make a descending right-hand turn. We're going to go into Bremerton and make one practice landing just so that I can show you how badly I do this. So we're going to enter the traffic pattern, and the altitude that
46003, turning base, runway 2, Bremerton.
the altitude that you enter the traffic pattern at Bremerton is 1,400, and we're at 3,600 right now. So we need to move down. So I'm going to just sort of head out here for a little bit.
15 Tango's off the active, Bremerton.
15 Tango, nice to hear you.
Skyhawk 46203, turning final.
My former airplane. What's that?
75, traffic Cherokee 7625 Whiskey is extending downwind for traffic on final, Bremerton.
The aircraft that called 15 Tango off the runway is the airplane I used to own before this one. The guy that bought it from me. So, Bremerton traffic. So we're about, do it this way, 3 miles, 3.9 nautical miles from Bremerton right this moment. Descending at 3,200.
Traffic Cherokee 7625 Whiskey is turning right base runway 2, Bremerton.
They're landing to the north. So I'm going to go into a pattern like this. 45, downwind, base, final. I'm going to tell them about that right now.
Bremerton traffic experimental 139er Kilo Foxtrot is 3 miles to the northeast, entering a right 45 for full stop landing runway 02, Bremerton.
Bremerton traffic Cherokee 7625 Whiskey is turning final, runway 2, full stop, Bremerton.
Constant saying parameters that they require and
yeah,
updated.
There's a lot of things going on right now. I'm trying to enter a traffic pattern with other airplanes in the pattern, so my obligation is to look for them so I don't get killed and tell them where I am. I'm entering a pattern, a box that is a square box that is the runway pattern. I'm entering it on a 45-degree angle to the leg that's called downwind. I'm 1,000 feet high right now. I didn't hear anybody else taking off and staying in the traffic pattern. I heard one guy turning into it, and I heard my old airplane leaving. So, as far as I know, we're the only guys out here right this moment, other than the guy that might still be just a moment or two from landing. And I've got 600 feet left to go before I'm at the correct altitude to enter the pattern. But I'm okay with it right where we are. It's just fine. I'm slowing down. I need to do a mental check, which is called jumps, gas undercarriage mixture props, and safety. Have I got gas? Yes. Is it set to the both tanks? Yes. My gear down.
Skyhawk 46203, turning right, crosswind, runway 2, Bremerton.
Okay, that means he is coming out here.
Bremerton traffic, 9 Kilo Foxtrot is now 1 mile left or right 45 for runway 2, Bremerton.
Okay, so now I'm at the correct altitude.
Bremerton traffic, Cherokee 7625 Whiskey is clear at Golf, taxiing back to
And there's
runway
some
2,
guy
76.
out here. There he is, I see him. I called my turn to downwind now.
Bremerton traffic, experimental 139 Kilo Foxtrot is now turning midfield right downwind for a full stop landing runway 02, Bremerton.
So, I'm lower than he's expecting me, but I'm low because that's the way I fly this airplane. There's the runway that we're landing on. When we get a beam, the numbers on that runway, I'm going to pull the power down a little bit, slow us down, go down. I'm a long way out from where I would normally be, but I did that because he's here. So I'm going to pull the power back a little bit now and make sure I got this turn coordinated. An important turn.
Bremerton traffic, 9 Kilo Foxtrot turning right base, full stop 02, Bremerton.
Pull in a notch of flaps in it. Guy coming out to taxi out there to take off. Got to be sure that he doesn't screw up and come out onto the runway, which it looks like he's doing. Okay, there's my flaps.
Bremerton traffic, 9 Kilo Foxtrot short final, full stop 02, Bremerton.
This is the most important turn to have it as coordinated as possible. So we do one of two things here. We bounce or we don't. And I'll let you know how it goes as I get closer. So I want to slow us down. I've got a crosswind.
Bremerton traffic, Skyhawk 46203, turning base, runway 2, Bremerton.
We bounced. Oh, we bounced. So the tail dragger gets squirrely on a runway, and that was squirrelier than I wanted to demonstrate, but
Bremerton traffic, Skyhawk 46230, turning 206, excuse me, correction, turning final, Bremerton, runway 2.
I want to get off the runway as fast as I can for him.
Bremerton traffic, 9 Kilo Foxtrot now clearing the active at Foxtrot.
There's going to be a big event here this weekend. Massive fly-in, 500 airplanes more. And you know, that's what those tents are for. It's abnormal. Let's open the doors so that we get a little bit of air in here. So that was a crosswind landing that I really wasn't meant prepared for. I was too busy talking to you instead of actually paying attention to what I was doing. Nevertheless, there's going to be airplanes all down the ramp here, camping and partying, and a big big party on Friday night, and really looking forward to it. I'll take one of those waters right now if you wouldn't mind. So here, put your feet on the rudder pedals, and know that you steer on the ground by pushing rudder pedals.
Whiskey is taking off runway 2.
So see if you can follow along for a minute with what I'm doing here. I'm purposely swerving to keep us so that I can see what's happening.
Turning crosswind, runway 2.
Okay, so you see if you can do that now. So a little bit of left rudder to get us over one way, and a little bit of right rudder to get us over the other way. A little bit of left again before we start going too far to the right, and a little bit of right before we go too far to the left. And, you know, so you kind of have to stay out in front of it a little bit. Awesome.
Okay, so now
That's okay. I'm going to just tap the brake for you every once in a while. So we're going fast, and so it's harder. But you're doing fine. Now just see if you can go straight. Just keep us going down the center line, which is here. Look at this tire over here. See it? Keep the tire on the yellow. Can you? No? Yes? Doesn't matter. any airplanes out there in the run-up area?
No.
Okay. Take that cap. And because of Bremerton's got grass everywhere, we're all good, but the taxiway lights are expensive, so we can't hit them. Doing fine.
Bremerton traffic.
A little bit of right rudder to keep us over towards the center line here.
Runway 20, we are on the ILS. We are going to go missed early to avoid traffic in the pattern there, 879er.
Bremerton traffic, Cherokee 76.
Yeah, so I need to keep your tire on the yellow line. It's a lot closer to the line. Yeah,
Yeah.
keep your tire on the yellow line.
Bremerton traffic, Skyhawk 46203 is turning
Okay,
final,
so I'll
runway
take the
2,
flight
direct
controls.
down Bremerton.
Got it.
We have flight control.
Thank you, sir. I've got the... Here comes the guy in high and hot.
Bremerton traffic, Cherokee 7625 Whiskey is turning right downwind, runway 2, Bremerton.
Bremerton traffic, Skyhawk 46203 is going around runway 2.
So, the Skyhawk that just spoke is going around, meaning choosing not to land. There's a guy on downwind, and there's a guy out practicing instrument landings coming at us, straight at us as we come out. So, Bremerton traffic, experimental 139er Kilo Foxtrot taking the active runway 02 will be straight out northbound departure looking for the ILS traffic light missed. Okay, so yeah, good for you. Good reflexes to make sure that there's nobody coming in there as you. Okay, so we're just going to go straight.
Bremerton traffic, Cessna 75879er, currently about a 9-mile final, descending through 2,200 on the ILS, and we're planning to go mist, and we'll be making a turn towards the
East.
the northwest to
Northwest, interesting. Okay, so let's just. I'll do it. I'll take care of it. Okay.
Crosswind, runway 2, Bremerton.
Okay, so we have the wrong. We're in. Got it. All right, ready? I should have checked that. Okay, here we go. Full power.
Bremerton traffic, Skyhawk 46203, turning right downwind, runway 2, Bremerton.
Bremerton traffic, Cherokee 7625 Whiskey is turning right base, runway 2, Bremerton.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Constantly on the controls and the throttle.
Sorry, say again.
And you're constantly on the throttle.
Yeah, especially on takeoff. It's actually full power. I should have it just full. But you always want to make sure that your hand is on it on takeoff so that by some mistake it doesn't come back, because this knob loosens it. So it could fall off, could come out and lose power right at the very moment that you just don't want to lose power. So there's a guy coming in 9 miles.
Cessna 8700 on the ILS, 20, descending through 1,600. We're planning an early missed approach to the northwest, looking for the straight out north departure, Bremerton.
And Kitbox experimental 139er Kilo Foxtrot is light blue, wiggling wings, and I'm going to offset to the east.
Okay, yeah, we negative contact right now for.
Okay, well, I'm going to be east of the runway center line. You stay on the ILS, we're all good. Thanks.
Bremerton traffic, Skyhawk 46203 on base, runway 2, Bremerton.
So there's a guy coming at us, 1,600 feet. We're at 1,200, so he's.
Site, and we're descending through 1,200 on the ILS, planning an early missed approach to the northwest.
I still don't see him, and I guess I could go back and get out of here. Tap. No, I don't want to view it. No tap.
7625 Whiskey is clear at Golf, and taxiing over to the...
Got him? Yeah, there he is. Thanks.
Bremerton traffic, Skyhawk 46203 is turning final, runway 2, single engine out, Bremerton.
Okay. So, Apex doesn't have any wind reporting system. It's got a wind sock, and if you fly low over the airport, you can see it. But based on knowing that the weather out of Bremerton was coming out of the north,
traffic 879 area is going best, and we're turning.
I'm going to assume that I'm going to land north.
For Bremerton traffic.
And so that means I go out over Silverdale, come back in that same kind of 45-degree pattern, downwind, base, final, and in. And so you have the flight controls.
I have flight controls.
You got the flight controls, and just keep us climbing to about 2,500. And look around for other airplanes and things to make sure that
the rate of climb okay?
yeah, it's fine, yeah. I don't actually have a device that measures the rate of climb. Most airplanes do have it. It's a vertical speed indicator. But I know that we're at an appropriate speed for the rate of climb, and we're slowly, we're probably climbing 500 feet a minute, which is just fine.
I think you owe me a couple.
Remind me again how high?
2,500. So needle on 5. And then you just push forward when that happens. It gets close to that, start to push forward. Okay? Yep, that's it. Nicely done. And it's going to pick up speed, and it's probably trimmed a little oddly for you. Look around, don't forget to look around. Looking around is the #1 task, really. Okay, push forward.
The nose back.
Yeah, push the nose down because you're climbing still.
Traffic, Cessna 879 is going to be crossing
nose forward.
east of 2000.
Like that. And then we'll just wait for a moment and we'll lose that speed again. And I'll pull the power back to here. That'll make it easier. And the trim is obviously. So stick us out over the water. Look around. Always look around. Just have your head constantly swiveling. And actually the way to look for an airplane, that you've noticed them before I did, so you're good at it, is to hold your head in a particular place for about 2, 3, 4 seconds. Then move it 10 degrees, then move it another 10 degrees. You don't just put your head on a swivel because then you don't see moving things. Okay. So apex is over there, the slash in the trees, and that's Banger, of course, out in front of us. See if you can get us back down to 2,500. And one of the ways to do it without increasing speed a lot is to pull power back, and I'll do that a bit for you. So make sure that the engine doesn't overspeed. Once you get close to the 5, pull the nose back a bit so we don't go below it. Yeah, and just look at the picture outside. Don't focus on that. Just look at the picture outside and go straight and level according to what it feels like the picture outside. Then confirm and look, you just nailed it. You're just absolutely on it. And you're not having to look at it. I can put my hand over it for the next 30 seconds, and chances are that you'd be pretty close to it. Feet.
Like, yeah,
a little bit. Yeah, which is, a private pilot, the requirement is that if I say I want you at 2,500, you need to be within 200 feet either side. That's a lot. You're within 20, you're within 10, you're within 5 feet right now. So you're flying to commercial standards right at this moment. So there's basically we're going to circle around Silverdale and come back at apex. We'll be flying into the sun at some point, and we're going to want to be coming down as we do that turn. So we'll go forward a bit more for another minute. And then I'm going to switch to apex's frequency, which is 122.8. Switch it on the standby side of the radio, and then swap it over to the active side. This is the active frequency. This is the only one that you can change by the dials. Okay, so you set it on the standby and swap it over using the swap button. Good. Get it over there. I laughingly call that pond by the new shopping center Lake Silverdale. And so what we do is we're going to turn around Lake Silverdale. And we're going to do a little descent while that's happening. So take the power and bring it back to about 4,500. Just pull it back. Pull it back. Pull it towards you. And then allow the plane to go down when that happens. Even a little bit more.
45, down 3-4.
And because all of the power that we were using was keeping the plane straight and level, it will go down as you pull power back.
957 Tango Alpha, turning left off wind for 3-4, Auburn traffic.
Good. Oh, thank you. Yeah, no factor. He could never get down to me fast enough, and I could never get up to him fast enough. Okay, I have the flight controls. You have the flight. Thanks, sir. So I'm going to pull that power down to about 45. I use my finger to sort of stretch it, so I can just... At 4,000 it starts to shake, and I try and avoid 4,000. We're going to go back over here, and we're going to make one radio call to Apex just to sort of let them know what we're doing.
Apex traffic experimental 139er Kilo Foxtrot is 3 miles to the east on a right 45, full stop 35 Apex.
I'm not 3 miles, I'm less than that. But, so I'm going to allow myself to go down, and I don't really want to pick up a lot of speed while that's happening. This is the moment where I get a chance to see what the wind is doing to me. If it's coming out of the north, it'll be blowing me sideways a little bit. And I get a chance to sort of observe that and decide, is that what I want to do? Do I really want to land to the north at Apex? And, you know, the answer, I look out at the water, I see what I think is some indications of a north wind. I'm looking for smoke. There isn't any right now, but we're good.
Apex traffic 9er Kilo Foxtrot 1 mile right 45, full stop 35 Apex.
And
traffic cardinal 184 expect, left base 34 sure.
So I'm 250 feet above the traffic pattern altitude. I'm turning in. The windsock doesn't look like it's doing too much. I'm going pretty quick, and there's the vibration at 4,000 RPM, so I'm going to get right through that to about 3,500. And then by leveling out at 1,500, my airspeed drop off. I'm now feel the stick. Yeah, so you have to pull back a lot again, so you would trim back, and now it will be less of a pullback. But still slightly. Right. So, okay, so...
Apex traffic 9er Kilo Foxtrot midfield downwind, full stop 35.
Okay. So there's a thing called sterile cockpit, which is during landing, which is the most dangerous. We don't chat, and I just pay attention, and that was what was happening the last time, was I was chatting and not paying attention to the landing. So I'm going to stop explaining for a minute, just quiet.
Apex traffic 9er Kilo Foxtrot right base, full stop 35 Apex.
Slide it sideways a bit. Two of the worst landings I've ever had with you, Jake. Oh. Sorry about that. Oh well, now you've seen the worst. Much better later.
Apex traffic 9 Kilo Foxtrot to the active.
We'll get there. I suppose I should take a look at the windsock and see if I made the right call on the runway, but felt like I had a tailwind to be perfectly frank. When we turn around, I'll make my excuse. More runway lights out here, are there? All right, what's that windsock telling me? Yeah, it was a tailwind too. I'll take that as my excuse for the second shitty day. Sadly, no excuse for the first. So the wind is out of the north at Bremerton, but here I should have been landing the same way I took off before. Although it's swiveling, really not, yeah, it's which means it's not particularly strong. It means it was just me, shitty pilot. Your truck's far enough forward that I don't have to worry about that. Yes.